The morning everything changed. Nairobi, Kenya, March 15, 2030. 22-year-old Grace Wanjiku stared at her phone in disbelief as a notification appeared that would transform not just her life, but the lives of every human being on Earth. Global UBI payment received 847 digital Earth credits. She was sitting in her family's one-room home in Kibera, having just finished her night shift at a call center, when the message arrived simultaneously on phones across every continent. In Beijing, factory worker Li Wuwei received 847 credits. In São Paulo, street vendor Marta Gonzalez got the same amount. In rural Montana, farmer John Miller saw an identical notification. For the first time in human history, every person on the planet, regardless of nationality, employment, or social status, had received the same basic income payment. "Mama?" Grace called to her mother, who was preparing breakfast over a charcoal stove. "Look at this." The UN Global UBI system actually worked. Her mother, Susan, examined the phone screen with the mixture of hope and skepticism that defined life in one of Africa's largest slums. "Grace, what does this mean? Can we actually use this money?" Grace opened the Global UBI app, her iris scan automatically authenticating her identity. "Mama, watch this." She pointed her phone at the neighborhood shop owner's payment terminal. "I'm buying rice and beans for breakfast." The credits convert automatically to Kenyan shillings through the central bank system. The transaction completed instantly. 15 digital Earth credits deducted, 450 Kenyan shillings credited to the shopkeeper, breakfast secured for the family. No bank account required, no credit check needed, no proof of employment demanded. In that moment, Grace was experiencing what economists and philosophers had dreamed about for centuries: a guaranteed basic income that could eliminate absolute poverty worldwide. The architect's vision. 6 months earlier, in the gleaming United Nations headquarters in New York, Secretary General Leandra Vasquez had been presenting the global UBI proposal to the General Assembly. The plan was audacious beyond anything the international community had ever attempted. "Distinguished delegates," Vasquez addressed the packed assembly hall, "we stand at a crossroads in human history. For the first time, we possess the technology to ensure that no human being anywhere on Earth needs to live in absolute poverty." He gestured toward a massive display showing global poverty statistics. 1.1 billion people survive on less than $2 per day. Climate change will displace another 200 million by 2050. Artificial intelligence threatens to eliminate 400 million jobs within the next decade. Traditional welfare systems cannot scale to address challenges of this magnitude. Japanese delegate Akiko Tanaka raised her hand. "Secretary General, how can we possibly fund basic income for 8 billion people?" Vasquez clicked to a financial projection that had taken teams of economists 3 years to develop. "Delegate Tanaka, the mathematics are surprisingly manageable. If every nation contributes 2.3% of GDP to a global UBI fund, we can provide every human being with 847 digital Earth credits monthly, enough to cover basic food, shelter, and healthcare in any country." The number wasn't arbitrary. UN economists had calculated the minimum income needed to lift someone above the absolute poverty line in the world's most expensive cities, then adjusted for purchasing power parity globally. The enforcement mechanism. U.S. Treasury Secretary Margaret Thornton leaned forward with the question every delegate was thinking.
And if a nation refuses to
Secretary
contribute?
General, what prevents nations from simply refusing to contribute their share? Vasquez smiled, anticipating the challenge. Secretary Thornton, observe the enforcement mechanism we've designed. He displayed a flowchart showing how the system would operate. Nations that fail to contribute their GDP percentage lose access to the global CBDC interoperability network. Their digital currencies become isolated from international trade settlements. The threat was existential in an interconnected world economy. Countries that didn't participate in UBI funding would find themselves cut off from efficient international commerce, forced back into expensive correspondent banking for trade settlements. Furthermore, Vasquez continued, multinational corporations receive tax incentives for operating in UBI-compliant nations and face penalties for major operations in non-contributing countries. The private sector becomes an enforcement mechanism for global cooperation. Chinese delegate Wang Yi raised a concern. Secretary General, this system could be used to impose Western values on sovereign nations. Delegate Wang, this isn't about values, it's about mathematics. Vasquez replied, displaying economic projections. Our models show that UBI participating nations experience GDP growth averaging 3.2% annually due to increased consumer spending and reduced social unrest. Non-participating nations face brain drain, capital flight, and economic isolation. The identity challenge. The biggest technical hurdle wasn't funding. It was ensuring that each person received exactly one UBI payment without fraud or duplication. In a basement laboratory in San Francisco, Globecoin founder Marcus Anderson was demonstrating the biometric verification system that would make global UBI possible. The fundamental challenge, Anderson explained to visiting UN technical experts, is proving unique human identity at global scale. Traditional identity systems, passports, social security numbers, birth certificates are controlled by individual governments and can be forged or duplicated. He gestured toward a metallic sphere the size of a bowling ball, bristling with cameras and sensors. The orb scans iris patterns, which are unique to each individual and unchangeable throughout life. Even identical twins have different iris signatures. UN Technology Coordinator Dr. Priya Patel examined the device with fascination. Mr. Anderson, how do you prevent the same person from registering multiple times in different locations? Anderson opened a secure laptop showing the global identity blockchain. Dr. Patel, every iris scan creates a unique cryptographic hash stored on a distributed ledger. When someone tries to register, the system automatically checks against all 8 billion existing records. If the iris pattern already exists anywhere in the database, registration is denied. The system was elegant in its simplicity. Scan your eye once, receive a unique digital identity forever. No government could revoke it, no hacker could duplicate it, no individual could claim it twice. The satellite solution. However, biometric registration was useless without global connectivity. In the Amazon rainforest of Brazil, telecommunications engineer Aleida Alejo was installing LuminaLink terminals that would bring internet access to indigenous communities for the first time. Chief Rayoni, she explained to the elderly tribal leader through a translator, this antenna connects your village to the global internet using satellites. Your people can receive universal basic income payments even here, 500 kilometers from the nearest city. Chief Rayoni examined the device skeptically. His community had lived sustainably in the rainforest for generations without money or markets. Aleida, why do we need income from outside? The forest provides everything we require. Aleida pulled up projections on her tablet, showing encroaching deforestation and climate change impacts. Chief, the global economy is affecting your forest whether you participate or not. UBI payments can fund forest preservation while ensuring your people have access to modern healthcare and education when needed. She demonstrated the system. Chief Rayoni's iris scan registered his identity, his smartphone received UBI credits, and those credits could purchase supplies from the outside world or fund conservation projects within the tribe's territory. The choice isn't between tradition and modernity, Aleida explained. It's between participating in the global economy on your terms or having it imposed on you without your consent. the proof-of-life protocol. In a secure facility outside Geneva, blockchain engineer Dr. Elena Ivanov was developing the most sensitive component of the global UBI system, proving that recipients remained alive and weren't gaming the system. The challenge, Dr. Ivanov explained to UN auditors, is preventing fraud without creating surveillance. We need to verify that UBI recipients are living humans, not deceased individuals whose accounts are being exploited by relatives. She demonstrated the solution. Recipients had to perform a monthly proof-of-life verification by scanning their iris and fingerprint simultaneously, while the system verified their vital signs through smartphone sensors. If someone dies, their family has 30 days to report the death and transfer any remaining UBI credits to eligible survivors. Dr. Ivanov continued. After that, the account automatically closes and credits return to the Global Fund. The system included safeguards for people in remote areas. Mobile verification units would visit isolated communities quarterly, and satellite internet enabled authentication from anywhere on Earth. The Economic Revolution. Back in Kibera, Grace Wanjiku was discovering how UBI transformed not just individual lives, but entire communities. 3 months after the first payment, her neighborhood looked different. "Grace," called her neighbor Mary Kimani, pointing to construction activity across the slum.
"Grace, look what's happening. People are using the UBI credits to fix their houses, open stores, send the little ones to school. You see that?"
Grace nodded, examining the changes through her window. The guaranteed income had unleashed entrepreneurial energy that poverty had previously suppressed. When people knew they could afford basic necessities, they took risks on education, business ventures, and community improvements. Mary, my cousin James, used his UBI credits to buy welding equipment. Now he's earning additional income, making metal doors and windows for people upgrading their homes. The economic multiplier effect was exactly what UBI proponents had predicted. Guaranteed basic security enabled innovation and investment that traditional welfare systems couldn't match. The resistance movement. However, not everyone embraced the transformation. In Washington, D.C., Congressman Robert Mitchell was leading congressional opposition to U.S. participation in the global UBI system. "Mr. Speaker," Mitchell addressed the House of Representatives, "this UN scheme represents the largest transfer of American sovereignty in our nation's history. We're allowing international bureaucrats to dictate our tax policy and monitor our citizens through global biometric databases." He gestured toward charts showing U.S. contribution requirements. American taxpayers would fund $670 billion annually to provide income to people who have never contributed to our economy. Meanwhile, the UN's biometric surveillance system would track every American's financial transactions through this global UBI network. Progressive Congresswoman Maya Enara countered from across the aisle. "Congressman Mitchell, this system eliminates absolute poverty worldwide while strengthening American economic leadership. Our companies benefit from global consumer spending funded by UBI. Our technology companies lead the biometric verification industry. Our values of human dignity become global policy." The debate reflected tensions playing out worldwide, between national sovereignty and global cooperation, between privacy concerns and poverty elimination, between established power structures and revolutionary change. The first results. 6 months after global UBI implementation, the results were dramatic beyond most predictions. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, economist Dr. Terry Thomas was presenting data that would reshape development economics. "Colleagues," Dr. Thomas addressed the packed auditorium, "global UBI has achieved in 6 months what traditional development aid failed to accomplish in 60 years. The mechanism is simple," Dr. Thomas continued. "When people receive guaranteed basic income, they spend it immediately on necessities and local services. This spending stimulates local economies, creating jobs and tax revenue that often exceed the original UBI investment. Child malnutrition down 45% in developing nations. Extreme poverty reduced by 73% globally. He displayed statistics that seemed almost too good to be true. However, not all impacts were positive. In some developed nations, UBI had reduced work incentives and created inflation as increased purchasing power drove up prices for basic goods. Primary school enrollment up 89% in sub-Saharan Africa. Small business formation increased 156% in rural areas worldwide. The unexpected consequences. In rural Vermont, farmer John Miller was experiencing UBI's complex effects firsthand. The guaranteed income had allowed him to invest in sustainable farming equipment, but it had also made farm labor harder to find. "Sarah," he told his wife over dinner, "3 of our seasonal workers quit this week. They say UBI provides enough for basic living, so they don't want to do physically demanding agricultural work anymore." Sarah studied their farm's financial projections with concern. "John, what happens if we can't find workers for harvest season?" John gestured toward news reports about similar challenges worldwide. "Honey, it's happening everywhere. UBI gives people choices they never had before. Some choose education over manual labor. Others choose entrepreneurship over employment. We need to adapt or fail." The transformation was forcing a global reconsideration of work, value, and human purpose in an age when basic survival was guaranteed. The governance challenge. At UN headquarters, Secretary General Vasquez was grappling with governance challenges that threatened the entire global UBI experiment. In his private office overlooking the East River, he was meeting with the 5 permanent Security Council members about systemic fraud attempts. "Colleagues," Vasquez addressed the secure video conference, "we've detected sophisticated efforts to game the UBI system. Criminal organizations are attempting to register fake identities, corrupt officials are skimming payments, and some governments are manipulating exchange rates to extract additional value." Chinese President Wu Weiming raised a crucial concern. "Secretary General, how do we maintain system integrity without creating global surveillance infrastructure that could be abused by authoritarian regimes?" The question struck at UBO's fundamental tension. Preventing fraud required monitoring that could enable oppression. Russian President Alexei Volkov had already attempted to use UBI verification data to track political dissidents, while Iranian authorities tried to deny UBI access to religious minorities. "President Wu, we're implementing blockchain-based governance that makes system manipulation mathematically impossible," Vasquez replied. "Smart contracts automatically distribute funds and audit transactions. No human authority can alter payments or access personal data without triggering global alerts." The digital divide. Despite technological solutions, implementation challenges persisted in areas lacking digital infrastructure. In rural Chad, aid worker Dr. Fatima Al-Rashid was discovering how the digital divide threatened UBI's inclusive goals. "The problem isn't funding," Dr. Al-Rashid explained during a secure video call with UN coordinators. "It's connectivity. Nomadic herders move constantly across borders, making biometric registration and payment distribution nearly impossible." She shared footage of Fulani cattle herders crossing between Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. These communities have no fixed addresses, limited smartphone access, and move seasonally following grazing patterns. How do we provide UBI to people who exist outside digital systems entirely? The UN solution involved mobile verification units that followed nomadic routes, satellite phones preloaded with UBI wallets, and solar-powered charging stations at traditional meeting points. It was expensive and complex, but essential for truly universal coverage. The transformation accelerates. As 2030 progressed, global UBI was fundamentally altering human civilization in ways its architects had never anticipated. In Mumbai, street child advocacy coordinator Priya Sharma was documenting changes that gave her hope for the first time in decades. For the first time, she told visiting journalists, children on the streets have economic value to their families beyond begging or petty crime. UBI provides enough basic income that desperate parents don't need to exploit their children for survival. She walked through neighborhoods where child labor had been endemic for generations. Observe these changes: children attending school instead of working in factories, families investing UBI credits in education rather than sending kids to earn money, communities organizing around long-term development rather than daily survival. The social transformation was as significant as the economic one. When basic needs were guaranteed, humans could focus on growth, creativity, and community, rather than merely surviving. The global experiment. As the first year of global UBI drew to a close, humanity was conducting the largest social experiment in its history. The results would determine whether technology could finally eliminate the scarcity that had driven conflict and inequality throughout human civilization. In her small home in Kibera, Grace Wanjiku was completing her university entrance exams, funded by UBI credits that enabled her to quit night shift work and focus on education. Her success story was being replicated millions of times across the globe as guaranteed basic income unlocked human potential that poverty had previously suppressed. "Mama," she told Susan while reviewing her applications to study computer science, "remember when we worried about having enough money for food? Now I'm planning to build software that could help run the UBI system that changed our lives." The circle was completing itself. UBI recipients becoming UBI architects, beneficiaries becoming builders of the system that had lifted them from poverty. Whether this virtuous cycle could sustain itself globally remained the greatest question of the modern age. As satellites beamed UBI payments to phones across every continent, as iris scanners verified identities in villages from the Amazon to the Sahara, as blockchain algorithms distributed wealth more equitably than any previous economic system, humanity was discovering whether technology could fulfill its oldest promise: abundance for all, scarcity for none. The experiment was just beginning, but already the world was transforming in ways that would have seemed impossible just years before. The age of universal basic income had arrived, and with it, the possibility that poverty itself might become merely a historical curiosity, a primitive condition that humans had finally evolved beyond.
Thank you for watching. If you like this, please support my work and head over to Amazon and get the book, The Evolution of Money and State. Details are in the comment below. And if you like such content, please like, subscribe, share, and I'll be sure to produce more in the future. Thank you.